Hey, Ian. All right. So, all of you have done a little bit of background research. Now, I'm going to go ahead and remind you, anytime you do an engineering project, it always starts with research, because none of you start into a project being experts in your field, okay? Now, as we talked about as far as teams go on Tuesday, you have to become an expert in a certain area. The moment you become an expert in that area, you become irreplaceable in your group, especially if you're actually being an expert who works. I've met several experts who did nothing and they were worthless. And it's like, great, you know a whole lot, can you do anything? The answer was no. But you have done a lot of work already on this project. From the beginning of the semester, if I were to re-propose the exact same project to you, you would have a lot more confidence as to like, oh yeah, I know what a park is, I know what ADA standards are. All of you will know a little bit of that right now because you had to do that work already, okay? It's the purpose of background research. It gives you the ability, the confidence to jump from, I really don't know what I'm doing, to, I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. Or at least I kind of understand the terminology, which is another really good piece. You may not know the exact direction. You may not know the full trajectory. But as long as you have that background information, you have something that you can at least rely on, okay? If I told you to design something and you didn't even know what that thing was, first thing you're going to do is go look it up. That's how it always should be, okay? That is always a critical piece of the design process. And another critical piece is seeing what people have already done. I was working with this group and they were trying to find AutoCAD plans for other parks, okay? Which is great. The first step you want to take is try to see what other people have done. So I commend you for that. It's actually not easy information to find either. So, now that we have background research done, the things that you should know are the first step of the iterative piece of the engineering design process, okay? You should understand something about measures of quality. What does that mean? Well, as we discussed, you should have some idea what's going to make a quality park, okay? If I say, I'm going to the park today, and I'm going to rate that park on a scale of 1 to 10, your measures of quality are all features that go into it. Okay? If your park has a giant landfill in the center of it, and some guy's driving a dump truck in there and dumping trash in it, okay, and it happens to be right next to a daycare center that produces a lot of diapers, you're probably not going to have a very aesthetic park. There are ways of making trash beautiful. It's harder to do with diapers. I know this from experience. At our church, we have a daycare center, and we throw away a lot of dirty diapers. Some kids decided to go dumpster diving one day. I felt so bad for them. There's just, you can't unscar what's been scarred. That's an aside. Anyways, you should be able to identify what is it that you can use to compare your park to other parks, okay? You should understand the constraints. Mostly because I gave them to you. But you should understand the wording of my constraints. What are my constraints that I gave you? What do they mean? You should understand existing solutions. Okay? All three of these are critical pieces that you should have gotten at least a little bit of information on in your background research. All right? Because this is how you start your design process. Now, you should also have other pieces such as nomenclature, what do words mean, and individual standards. What kind of standards do you have to apply here? It's ADA standards. And then looking into what is common. Okay, when you're looking at existing solutions, you're looking at what are common features. What is what are things that I should be expected to have? I didn't demand you do a park in a specific way, but if you go look at 4 parks and each of those 4 parks have a handicapped bathroom, that's a common feature. You probably should be considering a handicapped bathroom, okay? So you can keep going through this list of like, all right, we did all this research. These are the general trends that we see. Something that I did not expect you to do as a part of this project, but that is a part of background research, is taking surveys and marketing research. Okay, again, I'm not requiring you to do this at all. The idea here is that you kind of get to make up whatever motivation you want for why this park exists. What do people want out of this? You kind of get to make that up yourself. And it should have been based on surveys of the population. Maybe the population wants a little park, okay? Well, you probably wouldn't have an 800-foot by 800-foot space. Population wants to spend a certain amount of money. Marketing research, according to the community, a lot of the community individuals like to play a certain kind of sport. You would consider putting that kind of sport field onto your park, okay? These are all critical pieces of background research. This one is it's not an engineering topic, it's more of a business topic, which is why we're not really studying that, but it is still valid. How do you gather information that ultimately guides what the community wants, what the community is going to rate your park on, okay? So that's all been done. I am going to assume you feel comfortable in these areas. You can always continue to fill in on areas that you don't feel comfortable in for the rest of this project, okay? Google searches are really easy. You can do them at any time. But this is done. Your next step is ideation. Okay, during the ideation process, this is where you're looking up ideas, you're generating ideas, you're coming up with sketches, you're meshing things together, like this group was saying, maybe we shouldn't put in a pool, maybe we should put in a lake, maybe we should put in this feature, maybe we should put in that feature. Last year a group decided that it'd be a really good idea to have a 60-foot tall gold pyramid that weighed, I don't remember how much weight, but it cost like $13 trillion. That was a design decision, okay? All of that's happening in the ideation is where you're coming up with individual features, you're debating it as a group, you're figuring out, going back to your measures of quality, if I put it here, is it going to make the park more attractive? If I put it here, if I put in this feature, is it going to make it more attractive? On the flip end of that, if I do this, is it going to be cheap enough? A $13 trillion gold pyramid, there's no justification for that, okay? It was hilarious, but there was no justification for that. Because it completely destroys your measures of quality by arbitrarily exploding your cost and being like, all right, people are just going to come here to see your friggin' solid gold giant pyramid. No, I don't think so. People are going to be out there with a blowtorch trying to destroy it. Anyways, with this ideation phase, you need to have a sketch. I'm not going to make you hand in a sketch, but really what comes out of here is you should just generally come up with one sketch or a couple sketches that you want to put together, okay? This starts out with this idea of your visualizing. You're coming up with an idea and you're getting ready to actually develop it, okay? Because the next step is realization. Now, in reality, realization involves several pieces. For a civil engineering project like this, not only are you going to create a 2D and a 3D model, you're probably going to come up with a little scale model that you can show to somebody. You can take to a city council meeting and show, here's what the park is going to look like. Look, we have tiny children that are enjoying playing in this park. And people look at that and they go, ooh, I really can understand what you're trying to present here. It's a communication tool. Okay? So you may also come up with a 2D model and then a 3D model. You may come up with a scale model. You may come up with modern technology allows for you to do landscaping and produce things in VR. How cool would that be? To be like, all right, you're going to walk through this park now using an Oculus. And they could do that. You can actually set it up so that the perimeter of where this property is the boundaries, and then they walk through the park on their own. Modern technology is just phenomenal in that way. After you come up with a 2D and 3D model, you're going to come up with extensive drawing, basically drawing sets that explain how to do it, okay? And when all of that's done, your last step is analysis, which is going back to your original problem and saying, how did we actually score in the measures of quality? What does this actually cost? How fun is this park? How usable is it? How many parking spaces do we end up with? How many trees did we have to cut down? All of those are quantifiable features, okay? You go look at that and you may say, well, we screwed up. This doesn't look right. We're going to step back. We're going to redo a few things in the 2D model. Or you may say, well, you hand this into a business and they say, why did you include a lake? I hate the lake. Take the lake out. And you can't just do that without completely changing your design. I'm not going to do that to you, okay? I'm not going to do that to any of you. I'm not going to make you take out a piece of your design. Unless you have a $13 trillion gold pyramid, in which case then I might, but don't do that. It's not even an original idea at this point. Gross. But the only way that you're going to have to go back beyond this is if you do have to foundationally change everything about your park. If you correctly did your background research and you know what you're doing, you don't have to do this again. You don't have to go back to this step and be like, all right, we got to go send out more community surveys. It's actually very costly, very expensive, and kind of a frustrating step is doing this. So you want to make sure you try to do this right the first time. Get this done. Create a sketch, move on to the modeling, okay? All right, so any questions on this process? I'm going to beat this into your brains for the next 4 years, so get used to this exact model. All right, what we're going to be doing today is I told you to come up with a sketch. I'm going to assume you have a sketch. You may not have a sketch that you like. I don't care. I'm going to assume you have a sketch. We're going to talk about AutoCAD, okay? How do you get started? Well, you have been watching the modeling learning assignment videos. You have one modeling learning assignment video due tonight, a quiz over that. You've been watching them. It should have been giving you a nice introduction to AutoCAD. Or you may have already had an introduction to AutoCAD, and this is all mind-numbing to you, which is also fun, okay? Just as an FYI, do remember you can retake any of the modeling learning assignment quizzes at any time. It's not a one and done. You can take those as many times as you want. As of yet, I have not posted a reading assignment or a quiz for this class over any of the content material. I will do that, and it will be due next Thursday. So make sure you have your textbook in hand before next Thursday, because we're going to do some reading stuff. All right, let's talk AutoCAD. So I'm going to plug in my computer to the projector. Okay. Now, as a word of advice, I have arranged the videos so that all the AutoCAD videos that I covered last year are. Oh, hey, it's me. Whoa, it's an infinite me. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, I need better hobbies. This is so dumb. Anyways, I have arranged the videos on Canvas so you can see what I did last year. If I go through things too fast in class today, I am going to tell you to go watch those videos, okay? Because I can. You can get ahead. You can see all the way to the end if you really want to watch all those videos. It goes through everything except for plumbing in the restrooms, which is a new feature I added this year, okay? So, those are great videos to watch in your own time. You can watch them and you can work on AutoCAD at time. Also, for those of you who want to come in tonight and work, Tyler Sullivan, the TA for this class, he is going to be hosting open office hours for this room tonight at 7 from 7 to 8, or 7 to 9, okay? You want to come in as a group and work on this? You can use these computers. These computers do have AutoCAD on them, okay? And if they don't, I need to contact Tiger Tech right now. So, if you need to use the computers, please try to log into them so that I can know whether or not they work. Just FYI. All right. So, come in tonight. If you don't come in tonight, Tyler's going to be very lonely. And I care a lot about that boy's feelings. Don't make him lonely, or I'll make your guys' lives harder. That was a joke. I'm losing my comedic edge. Oh, I'm becoming middle-aged. All right, let's do AutoCAD. So, the very first thing you should have done was draw a sketch. I'm going to draw a sketch really quick so that you know what I'm aiming toward, okay? And when you draw a sketch, you're like, all right, I got a box. It's a nice box. It's an 800 by 800 box. It's a beautiful box. It's got great, rectangular corners. It's nice. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify what zones I want, okay? I told you your first page is identifying zones. So what we're going to do first, I want people to park, well, this year I'm going to say I want people to park right in the middle. Because if people park right in the middle, you can get to everything really nicely. You don't have to do any walking. Because how dare people want to go to a park and want to walk? Am I right? It's terrible. It's horrible. Yeah, I know it's antithetical to what everybody uses a park for. You know what? I don't care. This is going to be the lazy park for people who don't like walking. That's the appeal. I'm going to sell that to City Council. I'm going to get rejected immediately. So I want my parking zone to be right in the middle. There has to be a way to get from the street to the parking zone. So I'm going to have a road somewhere. By the way, if I were you, I would not put it in the center. I probably need to be a good example. Dang it. I'm going to put the parking zone over here. It's just going to be a parking lot. It's way more boring. Oh well, I'll be a good design example and do this the right way. This will be a park for people who don't like lazy people. So I put the parking lot here, and I'm just going to say I want parking there. Done. I want the playground to be really close to the parking lot. Why? Right. We want children close to cars. We'll put a small fence. No. You know what? No. What we're going to do is I'm going to put this park right here, right next to the street, okay? The goal of putting... because the parking lot just doesn't move fast enough. What?
Do you hate children?
I actually really like kids. No, what I'll do here is I'm going to put the playground here, and there is actually a reason for that. The idea is that if you put the playground in kind of a hidden spot, it gets creepy. If you put it right next to the street, it's much more visible. The visibility makes the park, if kids want to go play, it makes it look less intimidating to individuals, okay? Also, it's a nice way of if you drive by this park, oh, it looks like there's some really cool playground equipment there. Mom, can I go to the park? Now you do have to put a giant fence, barbed wire, prison tower, spotlight. You know, you got to keep those kids safe. Is this the first class I've been immature with you guys?
Yeah. No. Well, no, you were. It was mature until Christian.
Oh, but that's different. He made it immature. I'm a child at heart. This is me normal. Okay? So, if you want to be able to explain the fact that you have barbed wire around a playground, as long as you can explain it, you know what? This is, you are the engineer here, okay? But I would put a giant fence just to make sure that the kids don't run off into the street. Also, it does give a little bit of security, so you can't just have people walk from the sidewalk there, grab a kid, run away. So there is a little bit of security there. I'm not putting it next to the parking lot, but I will just put a fence there, okay? And that's going to be one of my design features that I explained. Now you'll notice in none of the drawings that I asked of you, I never said you had to put in, like, where are the fences? It's not something that I asked for. If you say you're going to put in a fence, you need to be able to describe where the fence is, okay? I would put in a separate page. It's not going to hurt you to do that. It makes it more thorough. Any case, so I want all of my playground features to be right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sports field right here, okay? It's going to be generic sports ball. So it'll have some grandstands here on one side. We're going to put the bathrooms right here so that we can sell concessions. Okay. That'll be great. And then behind that, we'll have like the victory circle. So I'll have a meeting location right next to the sports ball arena so that, you know, if they want to sell concessions out of both sides of this thing, great, they can. Or maybe we'll have the concessions be over here so that it's accessible to both of them. Okay. And then I got some open spaces over here. Here, I just want walking paths and trees because I like trees. And apparently I have to include walking. So I'm just going to have some nice general walking space. Down here, I'm going to have some open space, okay? I'm going to have some flower beds. I'm going to have some, I don't know, giant sculptures, maybe a fountain, something, okay? Now I've got a sketch. I have something that I can work off of now. We're good. I've done this part. I'm ready to start in AutoCAD. And you just watched me do it. You can do it that fast. Now, what my first page in AutoCAD is going to look a whole lot like this. Okay? We're not going to draw absolutely everything right away. Just like, yeah, we're just going to put it in, lock it in, yeah. There's a few things we have to do before we're done with the first page. But we'll walk you through that. So what I'm going to start out with is, let me grab some AutoCADing. I have AutoCAD. Oh, there it is. Hello, AutoCAD. FYI, if you don't have a mouse, this is going to make your life suck. Because the scroll wheel on AutoCAD is a gift from God. Okay. There are some mice on the desks. Please don't take mice with you. If you need to use mice, come in here and use the mice. Don't make my life harder by stealing our mice. Okay, so